Okay, for my first musical, I'll be talking about Little Shop of Horrors, my favorite musical of all time. And to say I'm obsessed is a bit of an understatement, and that's why I chose it. So this is gonna count as my after 2000s musical because even though it was created and started airing in 1982, that was off Broadway, and it only came to Broadway in 2003. So Little Shop of Horrors, and not the Little Shop of Horrors or Little Shop. It actually infuriates me so much when people call it Little Shop. It makes this uncontrollable anger boil inside of me that I have to correct people and be really annoying about it. I don't have to, but I do it. I have to do it. But yeah, so we're gonna get into that right now. So it has many adaptations. There are dating all the way back to 1894. Technically, it's kind of inspired. Okay, so 1894, H.G. Wells writes his short story about it, The Flowering of the Strange Orchard. And that inspires H.G. No, Arthur C. Clarke in 1956 to write The Reluctant Orchard. Both these stories are about a plant that is carnivorous, even though H.G. Wells' stories actually eats the main character. Um, Arthur C. Clarke's story has him try to get the main protagonist wants the plant to eat somebody, but instead it doesn't do that. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so this is kind of inspires Roger Corman, who is known for directing low budget movies in the 60s. And actually, he's coming out with a remake of this movie that I'm talking about right now, The Little Shop of Horrors. That's why there's a difference. It's called The Little Shop of Horrors, made in 1960, and it's Jack Nicholson's debut film. So yeah, it's really good. It's campy, very 60s, which obviously is why the musical takes place in the 60s. The movie does too, obviously, it's 1960. Yeah, then, like I said, in 1982, the musical starts running, it's created, and they premiere at the WPA Theater. And then in 1986 is the very famous movie musical, which is the best casted thing ever, by the way. It is so perfectly cast. Oh my gosh. The man of my dreams, Steve Martin, Rick Moranis, Ellen Green, the original Audrey, by the way, Bill Murray. Oh my gosh, it's so great. It's amazing. Oh god, so good. But yeah. And then in 2003, it comes to Broadway. Finally, after 23 years and a movie musical, it's finally on Broadway. And so this is directed by Connie Graffo. Connie Graffo is actually the wife of the original Seymour and personal assistant to Howard Ashman. But yeah, so, I failed to mention that with the 1986 movie, they released a lot of merch with it, obviously. So, the first of all was trading cards. Obviously, trading cards are very, come with a lot of 1986 movies. Or not 1986, 80s movies. They had the trading cards. There's Oren right there, pretty cool. And also a comic. Look at that, that's so cool. This came out, I believe, the year after or the year of. $10 at Comic-Con. It was such cool to find this. The comics are very hard to find, but also they're not expensive. And I don't know the exact year for this, but later they released Funko Pops. There's Audrey too, obviously, and there's Oren Scrivello. So they also had Baby Audrey, Audrey too, like I just showed, Seymour, Ellen Green of Audrey, and then Oren. They also had a stuffed animal of this one, and a chase edition, which was had blood on its mouth. But yeah. And then in 1995, they released a trilogy for the original movie, a trilogy of comics that is. It's called Welcome to the Little Shop of Horrors. This is the second edition, and this is where they go to visit the dentist. Here's Jack Nicholson's character right now. If you've seen the movie musical, you know the character of Arthur Denton, Bill Murray's character. This is Wilbur Force, who's the original Arthur Denton, which is really clever how they include that in the movie musical. Oh my gosh, the movie musical is perfection. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah. And it's actually currently off Broadway right now. Yes, it's currently off Broadway right now, and right now, the amazing Corbin Bleu is such a good Seymour. He's playing Seymour right now, like I said, and Jinx Monsoon, she's actually with the second trans woman to play him. Her, Audrey. I got confused with the plan. Okay, it's so great. I don't know who's playing Oren, but the Orens are famously bad, and that includes Kristen Borle. Kristen Borle sucked as Oren, and I won't take any complaints. He sucked. He's good at other stuff, but he sucked as Oren. But yeah, here's a program from it. It's not like the one with Corbin Bleu. And even so, Audrey and Seymour didn't sign it because it's like a daytime show. I didn't go see it. My friend read this back for me. I think that's Mushnik. That's Audrey too, the voice. There's actually a girl there, and that's Oren's. Johnny Newcomb. He's a swing. He still is a swing. He plays Seymour and Oren, which is pretty cool. We have a treat. Oh, my notebook. Yes. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay, let's get into it. So, in 2003, comes to Broadway. Seymour is played by Hunter Foster. Audrey, the girl, is played by Carrie Butler. Rob Bartlett plays Mushnik. Douglas Sills, oh my gosh, he is such a good Oren. So is Hunter Foster. I mean, he's a good Seymour. He's great too. Oh my gosh, such a good Seymour and Oren in this. And trust me, I have seen many adaptations. Kristen Borle's not a good Oren. I'll stop. Oh, I just realized something. I forgot to mention the cartoon. That's why I don't call it Little Shop. We don't talk about the cartoon. The plant raps in the cartoon. The cartoon's really bad. Anyways, so it takes place in 1960s, 1961 to 63, because Kennedy is president then, so that was when he was president. I believe it was narrowed down to 62. I don't remember the reasoning for that, but yeah. So it stars Seymour, the meek little florist. He lives in the basement of it. He's poor and he's like wimpy, and he is the adopted son, more employee of Mushnik. Mushnik is very money motivated and very stereotypical. I can't talk much on that, but to be clear, he was written by like a Jewish writer, so I can't talk on that. And Audrey also works in Mushnik. She is Seymour's love interest, and she is the girlfriend to Oren Scrivello. He is the dentist. People just call him the dentist, and that also kind of annoys me, but it's Oren Scrivello, DDS. And he is quite the card. He is abusive, I mentioned that before already, addicted to nitrous oxide, and sadistic. He intentionally tortures his patients. Yeah. And there's also, of course, the urchins. The urchins are like the narrators. They're more than narrators. Howard Ashman himself said they're more narrators. People say, oh, they're like muses, like the ones from Hercules. And he's like, Howard Ashman was very against that. He's like, no, if anything, they're the main characters. They're orchestrating the whole story. I call them the urchins because that's what Mushnik calls them, and that's what they refer to them, like during like rehearsal. That's what everyone refers to them as that. But yeah, when they're interacting with the actual characters, the urchins, when they're interacting with actual characters in the show, they're these poor like teenagers to late 20s, dropped out of school and stuff. But when they're orchestrating the story and interacting with the audience, they're in these beautiful costumes, and oh, it's so cool. And yeah, and of course there's the plant, Audrey 2, who is an alien that came to Earth from a solar eclipse, which, by the way, Seymour looks directly at. So there's that. And Seymour buys him from a flower salesman that he usually a plant salesman that he usually buys stuff from. And so he shows it off because the business is failing, and they're like, hey, I found this plant. And Mushnik's like, what's a strange plant gonna do? And then the customer immediately comes in, and so customers keep coming in, they're like, what a strange and unusual plant. And they keep coming in, and they keep buying stuff because of it. And so at the end of the day, they're like, yay, we're not failing our business anymore. But then Audrey 2 starts to wilt. Well, he obviously named it after Audrey 1, because he has a little crush on her. But yeah, and so Mushnik's like, oh, you better fix that right now. And so everyone else leaves, because Mushnik does not live there, though Seymour does. And that's the situation going on there. So he's like, oh man, how am I gonna help this plant? But then he accidentally pricks his finger on like a thorn, and then the plant perks up, and it's like, no, he doesn't talk yet. He like wants the blood. He's like doing like that, like little kissing noises. I'm not gonna do that because they annoy me. And so he's like, oh boy. And so he feeds it blood, and this is a continuous thing. So it grows, and he feeds it blood. It keeps going on. Business is good. Blah blah blah. And so one night, he's just hanging out. Then all of a sudden, the plant talks. It says, "Feed me," which is very obviously very iconic phrase from it. It says, "Feed me," and he's like, "Oh, you talk?" And he's like, "Yeah, feed me humans." He's like, "I'm not gonna kill people for that." And Audrey too is like, or Tui's like, "I'll do stuff for you." He's like, "You're a plant. I can talk and I can like move, so I think I can get you a Cadillac." And so he's like, "Yeah, let's kill." I'm like, okay, he's buying into it, but then he's like, a lot of folks deserve to die, is what Tui says. And Seymour's like, whoa, I don't think anybody deserves to get chopped up and fed to a hungry plant. Then Oren hits Audrey outside and he's like, okay, yeah, we have to kill this guy. And so then the next following day, he goes to the dentist office. Oren's office said it. I'm not calling it the dentist office. I'm get into that. And so he's going with a gun to kill Oren. This is actually like the scene where me and Sean did for Festival. But yeah, so he's going in. But then Oren kills himself, not intentionally. There's a whole song for it. There's songs in this. It's a musical. Whoa. And he accidentally, like, kills himself by overdosing on nitrous oxide. That's not funny. I shouldn't have laughed. But actually, there's like I don't think he actually killed himself by mistake. Because it's about like 4 minutes that he's with that. And that's just enough to like pass out. And like he is died, but like it takes like 10 minutes to be killed by nitrous oxides. With like in that amount, so technically Seymour might have just like killed a man, even though the reason he didn't like shoot him was because he was already doing himself with nitrous oxide. I still think that. I don't know why I threw my notes down, but yeah. So he dies. Yeah, and so stuff just keeps going. He keeps like hanging out with the plant. Well, not hanging out. At some point, oh no, I think this happened before Oren died. But Mushnik's like, oh, I gotta get this guy on my side because Oren tells Mushnik, or he doesn't tell Mushnik, he tells Seymour, and Mushnik is also there. They're like, oh, you should go to any forest in town. They'll make you a partnership and they'll buy this plant. And Mushnik's like, ah, crap, I can't lose this guy. That's where my money's coming from. My money. That was. And so he's like, Mushnik and Son, which Mushnik and Son is a great song. Okay, people say Michigan Sun is not a good song. It's like the greatest song in the musical. It's so catchy. It's so good. It's so clever. It's such a good song. Sorry. Someone said it wasn't a good song. It's a very good song. But yeah. And so, Mushnik finds out about this, that he killed Oren, and he's like, I'm gonna report you. And he's like, then Seymour tricks him into getting eaten by Audrey too. And now Seymour's running it. He's like, he'll come in, he's gonna have his own gardening hour, blah, blah, blah. And Audrey's like, oh, my boyfriend is dead. And they have their whole suddenly Seymour thing. This is a very choppy explanation, obviously. Seymour, they're like, great, we're gonna get married, even though we haven't even dated yet. Okay, so they get married. And then Tui lures Audrey over, and she's like, oh, blah, blah. And then he, like, eats her, and Seymour gets eaten. Yeah, that's very short story, but there's a lot more, obviously. Go watch it. I actually haven't watched the musical. I've only seen the movie because I don't... It's actually, there's a lot of them are actually coming up around here. I know Avon Players, Melvinville High School, Warren Civic, or more, that's like next year. Literally next year in like May. But yeah. Okay, so what is like the message of the show? Capitalism, obviously. It's the plant, poor, money is very important to this. You have... the poor Skid Row citizens, and you also have Oren is actually kind of like more wealthy than him. He has like his leather jacket, his motorcycle. He's making good money, and that's kind of why he has like that abusive power over Audrey. Everyone else is poor besides Oren, and so that's like everyone's like desperation to get out of this is why they're all like, yeah, and it kills everybody in the end. Yeah, no, it killed everybody in the end. The plant, I failed to mention, the plant comes over and takes over everyone. Speaking of tech, the plant, like in original WPA productions, and I know this happened in the off-Broadway one, like comes out into the audience. In the WPA theater, when they first had it, they had like tentacles and stuff come out from the back and then like shoot stuff at you. So cool. But yeah. So it's, yeah. What else? Reminds me of? I think it's reminding me of. It's kind of like Rocky Horror in the sense of campy musicals. Yeah, that's it. I think I just have that written down. Characters and plot. But sorry, my little sister interrupted me. Okay. I mentioned message that. Oh, who would I want to play in this? Obviously, Orin. Obviously, I want to be Orin Scarella. Come on. The same. No, actually, no. We do kind of like the same hair there. No, but yeah, no. I obviously want to play Orin. He's so fun to play. I'd actually like to play anybody in this, but especially Orin. He's so fun. Oh my gosh, he's so fun. Not when Kristen Borle plays him though. Kristen Borle is not a good Orin. I know I've said it like 30 times. He sucks. But yeah, that is Little Shop of Horrors, my favorite musical of all time. So good. I highly recommend it. Oh my gosh, amazing. But yeah, that's it.